Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the sunlight streaming through your window, the world outside humming with its usual rhythm, but something feels off. It's not the kind of unease you can pinpoint, no looming deadline, no unresolved argument, no tangible threat. It's deeper, quieter, almost imperceptible, like a faint hum in the background of your mind. You go about your day, but the feeling lingers, a shadow you can't shake. And then, as you sit alone that evening, it hits you. What if the life you're living isn't truly yours? What if the choices you make, the emotions you feel, the reality you perceive, are not entirely under your control? This isn't a question about free will in the abstract philosophical sense. It's far more intimate, more unsettling. It's about the invisible forces that shape your thoughts, your desires, your fears, forces you didn't choose, forces you may not even be aware of. What if your subconscious mind, that vast, uncharted ocean beneath the surface of your awareness, is quietly steering the ship of your life, while you, the conscious captain, believe you're at the helm? Consider this paradox. You are the author of your own story, yet you didn't write the first draft. Your beliefs, your habits, your reactions, many of them were imprinted on you long before you had the capacity to question them. Your parents, your culture, your traumas, your triumphs, they all left their marks, etching patterns into your psyche that now dictate how you see the world. And here's the twist. You don't even realize it. You think you're seeing reality, as it is. But what you're really seeing is a reflection of your subconscious, a hall of mirrors where truth and illusion blur. Why do you fear what you fear? Why do you chase what you chase? Why do you sabotage yourself in ways that defy logic? These are not random quirks of personality. They are clues, breadcrumbs leading back to the hidden chambers of your mind. And the deeper you go, the more you begin to wonder, who am I, really? Am I the one making the choices, or am I being played by a script I didn't write? This is not just a philosophical musing, it's a psychological reckoning. Your subconscious is not some abstract concept. It's the operating system of your life. It filters your perceptions, stores your memories, and dictates your emotional responses. It's the reason you can't just get over that childhood wound, no matter how much you rationalize it. It's the reason you keep falling into the same patterns, even when you swear you'll do things differently this time. It's the reason you feel stuck, even when everything on the surface seems fine. But here's the real kicker. Your subconscious doesn't just shape your inner world, it shapes your outer reality too. The people you attract, the opportunities you seize or miss, the life you build. All of it is filtered through the lens of your subconscious beliefs. If you believe deep down that you're unworthy of love, you'll push away anyone who tries to get close. If you believe the world is a hostile place, you'll see enemies where there are none. If you believe you're destined to fail, you'll sabotage your own success without even realizing it. Your subconscious is a self-fulfilling prophecy machine, and it's running 24/7. So here's the great question, the one that will haunt you if you let it. What if you could rewrite the script? What if you could dive into the depths of your subconscious, confront the shadows, and reclaim control? What if the life you're living is just one version of reality, and there's another, far richer one waiting to be unlocked? This is not a call to action, not yet. It's a call to awareness, because before you can change anything, you must first see it. And what you're about to see will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. The journey ahead is not for the faint of heart. It will require courage, curiosity, and a willingness to face the uncomfortable truths lurking in the shadows. But if you're ready to step into the unknown, to question the very fabric of your reality, then keep reading. The first step is the hardest, but it's also the most transformative. And it begins with a single unsettling realization. You are not who you think you are. The subconscious mind is not a passive repository of forgotten memories or random impulses. It is an active, dynamic force, a silent architect of your reality. To understand its power, you must first confront the uncomfortable truth that much of what you consider you is not you at all. It is a patchwork of inherited beliefs, conditioned responses and buried emotions, stitched together by experiences you didn't choose and influences you didn't notice. Think of your mind as an iceberg. The conscious part, the tip above the water, is what you identify with: your thoughts, your decisions, your sense of self. But beneath the surface lies the vast, submerged mass of the subconscious, shaping the direction of the entire structure. This hidden realm is where your deepest fears, your unspoken desires, and your most ingrained habits reside. It is the source of your automatic reactions, your gut feelings, and your inexplicable moods. And here's the problem: you didn't design it. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, called this hidden part of the psyche the shadow, the repository of everything you've repressed, denied, or ignored. It's the part of you that you don't want to see, the part that feels too painful, too shameful, or too dangerous to confront. But the shadow doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. Instead, it seeps into your behavior, your relationships, and your perception of the world. It whispers in your ear, coloring your thoughts with its biases and fears. It is the reason you overreact to a harmless comment, the reason you feel inexplicably drawn to people who hurt you, the reason you sabotage your own happiness. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who dared to stare into the abyss, understood this dynamic all too well. He warned, when you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. The subconscious is that abyss, a dark, uncharted territory that holds both your greatest fears and your greatest potential. But most people never dare to look. They live on the surface, unaware of the forces that drive them, content to believe they are in control. And yet, the subconscious is not merely a personal phenomenon, it is also a collective one. Society, culture, and history imprint themselves on your mind, shaping your beliefs and values in ways you rarely question. Aldous Huxley, in his dystopian masterpiece Brave New World, explored how societal conditioning can manipulate the subconscious, turning individuals into compliant automatons. But you don't need a dystopia to see this in action. Look around. You. The messages you absorb from media, the expectations placed on you by family and peers, the norms you internalize without thinking, all of these are programming your subconscious, often without your consent. Consider this. Why do you feel guilty when you say no to someone, even when saying yes harms you? Why do you equate success with material wealth, even if it doesn't bring you happiness? Why do you fear failure so much that you avoid taking risks, even when staying stagnant feels like a slow death? These are not innate truths. They are conditioned responses implanted in your subconscious by a world that profits from your compliance. But the problem goes even deeper. Your subconscious is not just shaped by external forces, it is also shaped by your own avoidance. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Yet most people do the opposite. When faced with discomfort, they retreat into distraction, denial, or self-delusion. They bury their pain, their doubts, their fears, hoping that time will erase them. But the subconscious doesn't forget. It stores everything, and what you refuse to confront will only grow stronger, influencing your behavior in ways you can't see. This is the hidden problem. Your subconscious is running the show, and you don't even know it. It is the reason you feel stuck, the reason you repeat the same mistakes, the reason you can't seem to break free from the patterns that hold you back. And the longer you ignore it, the more power it has over you. But here's the twist. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is a part of you, a part that holds the key to your transformation. The question is not how to destroy it, but how to understand it, integrate it, and ultimately reclaim it. This is where the journey begins. The next section will explore the unseen consequences of this hidden force, how it silently shapes your reality, often in ways you don't notice. But before we go there, ask yourself this. What if the life you're living is not the life you chose, but the life your subconscious designed for you? And what if, by understanding it, you could design a new one? The subconscious mind is a masterful illusionist. It doesn't just influence your thoughts and behaviors, it creates the very fabric of your reality. Every decision you make, every emotion you feel, every interaction you have is filtered through its invisible lens. And because this process happens below the level of conscious awareness, you rarely question it. You assume that what you see, feel, and experience is objective, reality. But what if it's not? What if your reality is a carefully constructed illusion shaped by the hidden forces of your subconscious? Consider the concept of cognitive biases, those mental shortcuts your brain takes to make sense of the world. These biases are not random, they are deeply rooted in your subconscious. Take the confirmation bias, for example. This is the tendency to seek out information that confirms what you already believe while ignoring or dismissing anything that contradicts it. It's not a conscious choice, it's an automatic process, driven by your subconscious need to maintain a coherent worldview. But here's the catch. Your worldview may be flawed. It may be based on outdated beliefs, childhood conditioning, or cultural programming. And yet, because of the confirmation bias, you cling to it, unaware that you're trapped in a self-reinforcing loop. Then there's the negativity bias, which causes you to focus on threats, failures, and criticisms more than positive experiences. This bias evolved as a survival mechanism. Our ancestors needed to be hyper-aware of danger to stay alive. But in the modern world, where physical threats are rare, this bias often does more harm than good. It makes you anxious, pessimistic, and overly critical of yourself and others, and because it operates below the level of consciousness, you don't even realize it's happening. You just feel the weight of it, like a dark cloud you can't escape. These biases are just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath them lies a labyrinth of subconscious beliefs, many of which were formed in childhood. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, famously said, "We are our choices." But what if your choices are not truly yours? What if they are dictated by beliefs you absorbed before you were old enough to question them? For example, if you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, where you had to earn approval by being perfect, you might carry that belief into adulthood, constantly striving to prove your worth, even when it exhausts you. Or if you were taught that vulnerability is weakness, you might build walls around yourself, shutting out intimacy and connection, even when you crave it. These beliefs don't just shape your behavior, they shape your reality. If you believe, deep down, that you're unworthy of love, you'll interpret every rejection as proof of that belief, while dismissing evidence to the contrary. If you believe the world is a hostile place, you'll see threats everywhere, even when they don't exist. Your subconscious is like a filter, distorting your perception of reality to match your inner narrative. And because this process happens, automatically, you rarely question it. You assume that what you see is real, when in fact, it's a reflection of your subconscious mind. But the consequences go even deeper. Your subconscious doesn't just shape your perception of reality, it shapes your reality itself. This is the principle behind the self-fulfilling prophecy. When you expect something to happen, your behavior aligns with that expectation, making it more likely to come true. For example, if you believe you're bad at public speaking, you'll approach every presentation with anxiety and self-doubt, which undermines your performance and confirms your belief. Or if you believe you'll never find love, you'll sabotage your relationships, ensuring that your belief becomes a reality. This is the power of the subconscious. It creates a feedback loop where your beliefs shape your behavior and your behavior reinforces your beliefs. And because this loop operates below the level of consciousness, it feels like fate. You think, this is just how I am, or this is just how the world is, without realizing that you're perpetuating the very patterns you want to escape. The unseen consequences of this dynamic are profound. On a personal level, it leads to chronic dissatisfaction, self-sabotage, and a sense of being stuck. On a societal level, it perpetuates cycles of inequality, conflict, and collective delusion. Think about it. If everyone's perception of reality is filtered through their subconscious biases and beliefs, how can we ever hope to understand each other? How can we solve problems when we can't even agree on what's real? This is the urgency of the issue. The subconscious is not just a personal problem, it's a collective one. It shapes not only your individual reality, but the reality we all share. And until we confront it, we'll remain trapped in a world of illusions, unable to see or change what's really happening. But there is hope. The first step is to recognize the power of the subconscious, to see how it shapes your reality without your consent. The next step is to challenge it, to question your beliefs, confront your biases, and rewrite the script. This is not easy. It requires courage, curiosity, and a willingness to face the uncomfortable truths lurking in the shadows. But the reward is nothing less than freedom, the freedom to see reality as it is, not as your subconscious tells you it is. The journey ahead is not for the faint of heart. It will require you to dive into the depths of your mind, to confront the shadows, and to reclaim control. But if you're ready to take that step, keep reading. The next section will show you how to break free, how to rebel against the subconscious forces that have been shaping your reality, and how to create a new one. The subconscious mind is a formidable force, but it is not invincible. It thrives on ignorance, on the assumption that its patterns and beliefs are unchangeable. But the moment you shine a light on it, the moment you question its authority, you begin to dismantle its power. This is the essence of rebellion, not a violent overthrow, but a quiet, deliberate act of reclaiming control. It starts with a single radical realization. You are not your subconscious. You are the one who observes it. This shift in perspective is the key to breaking free. Viktor Frankl, in his exploration of human resilience, wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The subconscious may dictate the stimulus, the automatic thoughts, the emotional reactions, the ingrained habits, but it cannot dictate your response. That space, however small it may seem, is where your power lies." The first step in this rebellion is awareness. You must become a detective of your own mind, observing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment. This is not about fixing or changing anything, it's about seeing. When you feel a surge of anger, instead of acting on it, pause and ask, where is this coming from? What belief or fear is driving it? When you find yourself procrastinating, instead of berating yourself, ask, what am I avoiding? What story am I telling myself about this task? This process of self-inquiry is deeply uncomfortable. It requires you to confront parts of yourself that you've spent years avoiding. But it is also profoundly liberating. As Carl Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." By bringing your subconscious patterns into the light, you strip them of their power. You begin to see that they are not truths, but stories that can be rewritten. The next step is challenging these patterns. This is where the real work begins. It's not enough to simply observe your subconscious. You must actively question it. For example, if you have a deep-seated belief that you're not good enough, ask yourself, is this really true? Where did this belief come from? What evidence do I have to support it, and what evidence contradicts it? By interrogating your beliefs, you expose their flimsy foundations. You realize that they are not facts, but interpretations, and interpretations can be changed. This process is not intellectual, it's experiential. You can't think your way out of subconscious patterns. You must feel your way out. This is where practices like mindfulness, meditation, and journaling become invaluable. They create a space for you to sit with your emotions, to observe them without getting swept away. They help you develop a new relationship with your mind, one based on curiosity and compassion rather than fear and avoidance. But awareness and challenge are not enough. To truly break free, you must also reprogram your subconscious. This is where visualization, affirmations, and deliberate habit building come into play. The subconscious learns through repetition, so you must give it new patterns to follow. For example, if you want to cultivate self-confidence, you might visualize yourself succeeding in a challenging situation, or repeat affirmations like, "I am capable and resilient." Over time, these new patterns will overwrite the old ones, creating a new subconscious script. This process is not quick or easy. It requires consistency, patience, and a willingness to fail. But the rewards are immense. As you begin to rewrite your subconscious, you'll notice subtle shifts in your reality. Opportunities will appear where you once saw obstacles. Relationships will deepen as you let go of old defenses. You'll feel a sense of agency and possibility that you didn't think was possible. This is the essence of rebellion, not a rejection of who you are, but a reclamation of who you could be. It's a journey from unconsciousness to consciousness, from reaction to creation, from fate to freedom. And it begins with a single courageous step: the decision to no longer be a prisoner of your subconscious. The final section will reveal the ultimate truth, the deepest realization that ties everything together. It will show you not just how to break free, but how to create a new reality, one that aligns with your highest potential. But before we go there, ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you were no longer ruled by your subconscious? What would you dare to dream, to create, to become? Here is the ultimate truth, the revelation that changes everything. You are not separate from your subconscious. You are its creator. This may sound paradoxical, even contradictory, but it is the key to understanding your power. The subconscious is not some external force imposing itself on you. It is a part of you, a reflection of your deepest beliefs, fears, and desires. And because you created it, you can recreate it. This realization is both humbling and empowering. It means taking full responsibility for your reality, not as a burden, but as an opportunity. It means recognizing that every thought, every emotion, every pattern is a choice. Not necessarily a conscious one, but a choice nonetheless. And if you can choose unconsciously, you can also choose consciously. Think of your subconscious as a garden. For years, you've allowed weeds to grow unchecked, their roots twisting deep into the soil. These weeds are your limiting beliefs, your fears, your traumas. They've taken over the garden, choking out the flowers and trees that represent your potential. But here's the thing, you planted those weeds. Maybe you didn't mean to. Maybe you inherited them from your parents, your culture, or your experiences. But they are yours now, and only you can uproot them. This is the essence of the ultimate truth. You are the gardener of your mind. You have the power to pull out the weeds, to plant new seeds, and to cultivate a garden that reflects your highest self. But this requires more than just effort. It requires a shift in identity. You must stop seeing yourself as a victim of your subconscious and start seeing yourself as its architect. This shift is not easy. It requires you to confront the darkest corners of your psyche, to take responsibility for patterns you didn't consciously create, and to embrace the discomfort of growth. But it is also the most liberating thing you can do, because once you realize that you are the creator of your subconscious, you realize that you are also the creator of your reality. This is not a metaphor, it's a neurological fact. Your brain is a prediction machine, constantly shaping your perception of reality based on your beliefs and expectations. If you believe the world is a hostile place, your brain will filter out evidence to the contrary, creating a reality that matches your belief. But if you believe the world is full of opportunity, your brain will do the same, highlighting possibilities and connections you might have otherwise missed. This is the power of the ultimate truth. It allows you to rewrite the code of your reality. By changing your subconscious beliefs, you change the way your brain processes information, which in turn changes the way you experience the world. This is not wishful thinking, it's neuroscience, and it's available to anyone willing to do the work. But here's the catch. You can't do this work from the surface. You can't just affirm your way into a new reality or visualize your way out of old patterns. You must go deep into the heart of your subconscious and confront the shadows that have been running the show. This is where the real transformation happens, not in the light, but in the dark. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the final, most powerful realization. Your shadows are not your enemies, they are your teachers. They hold the key to your growth, your healing, and your freedom. By embracing them, by integrating them, you reclaim the parts of yourself that you've disowned, and in doing so, you become whole. This is the ultimate truth. You are not broken, you are becoming. Your subconscious is not a prison, it's a workshop, and your reality is not a fixed state. It's a canvas, waiting for you to paint it anew. So, what will you create? Will you continue to live by the old script, the one written by fear and limitation? Or will you dare to write a new one that reflects your deepest truths and highest aspirations? The choice is yours. The power is yours. The reality is yours. As you step into this new understanding, remember this. The journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up day after day and choosing to create a reality that aligns with who you truly are. It's about embracing the messiness of growth, the uncertainty of change, and the beauty of becoming. And so, we end where we began, with a question. But this time, it's not a question of curiosity or fear. It's a question of possibility. Who will you choose to be? What reality will you choose to create? The answers are waiting, not in the stars, but in the depths of your own mind. Dive in. The water is deep, but you are ready.